Staying with India, news coming from Auto World once again here. The premium hatchback Glanza has been launched. It's the first product of rebadged Suzuki car sold by Toyota. While Toyota, it's Baleno of Suzuki and it's rebadged as Glanza in India. It's a rebadged Baleno of Maruti Suzuki, and under the agreement between Suzuki and Toyota, Suzuki cars in India, including Ertiga, Baleno and others, could be rebadged and sold under Toyota brand, while Toyota will provide Suzuki with its hybrid and other technologies. Japanese car makers Toyota and Suzuki have already signed up this venture last year. And over to global news, where the day is finally here when UK Prime Minister Theresa May will give her official resignation. And it's but only the Conservative Party leader and not as Prime Minister. May will continue governing the country and fulfilling her official duties until a successor is chosen. The Conservative leadership contest will begin formally on June 10. The candidates for the post of Prime Minister would need support of at least 8 members of Parliament. They would also need at least 16 votes in the first ballot and 32 in the second ballot. So far, Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, Jeremy Hunt and Andrew Leadsom, they are expected to compete to be the next Tory leader. After repeatedly falling and failing to get her Brexit plan through Parliament, Theresa May announced she will step down as leader of Conservative Party and then as Prime Minister of the UK. And May stepped outside the door of 10 Downing Street on May 24th and said it was in the best interest of the country for a new Prime Minister to take over. She became UK's second female Prime Minister in July 2016 with but one task. That was to find a way of getting a brutally divided nation out of an extraordinarily tangled relationship. But after almost 3 years, she failed and ultimately paid the price. It is now expected that the new leader will be elected in the week of July 22 beginning, which means that Theresa May is likely to stay in power for another 6 weeks. And US President Trump may have wanted to co-opt Russia for containing China, but the continued sanctions on Russia have only pushed it closer to China. And in a double blow for Washington, its trade war with Beijing has further brought Russia and China closer as they seek to forge deeper economic ties. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, they met in Moscow to decide, among other things, how to defang America's chosen weapon, the dollar. It looks like they are dumping it. Here's a report how.
From pancake diplomacy last year to panda diplomacy this year. By the time the Putin-Xi talks concluded in Moscow, China and Russia had taken another step closer towards dumping the dollar and agreed to trade in their respective national currencies, the Russian ruble and the Chinese yuan. Clearly, Moscow and Beijing have signaled their intent to move away from the US dollar in a bid to clip Washington's dominance over the international system. Russia and China want to restrict Washington's bullying of other countries. The US is known to threaten countries with sanctions if they do not comply with its wishes. Russia and China intend to develop the practice of settlements in national currencies, Putin said after his talks with Xi. China and Russia agreed to promote the use of the yuan and the ruble in bilateral trade. The bilateral pact talks about cooperation on development of national payment systems and facilitation of cross-border payments in national and other currencies. Xi Jinping presented 2 pandas to Moscow's zoo at the ceremony with Vladimir Putin on Wednesday in a gesture the Russian president described as a sign of deepening trust and respect between the two powers. Following the meeting, Xi and Putin signed the statements on elevating bilateral ties to the comprehensive strategic partnership of coordination for a new era and on strengthening contemporary global strategic stability. According to the joint statement on the strategic partnership, the China-Russia relationship has entered a new era and is facing new opportunities for greater development. Bureau Report, WION World is One.